Good evening. Hello and welcome to class. Hi. Oh, just a sec. That's a computer cord. Sorry. So bedtime stretches. Here we are. We are going to wait for just one moment. Today we will be using props. We have a bunch of props actually. Hopefully you have some of these in your, just a second. Get off of the table, please. You're not allowed up there. You are not allowed on the table. No. Sorry. All right. So, you're such a troublemaker. Good thing you're cute, hey? All right, so props today for bedtime stretches. We will be using a tennis ball. If you don't have a tennis ball, don't worry. We will be using a small towel. I'm using a tea towel from my kitchen, but hand towel will work just fine as well. You will need a yoga or Pilates mat, and if you don't have one of those, a towel will do just fine, and a chair to sit on. Are you warming that up for me? All right. Well, let's hop to it. So we're going to start sitting on, actually, we'll start standing. And you can hold on to the side of your chair if that feels good, or you can just stay up standing tall. And we will use the tennis ball on the ground and just roll out the bottom of the foot. Now, the bottom of the foot often gets tight, and we neglect it until it feels tight and it hurts. So, taking care of the feet will spare you from pain in the future. And so we're just rolling out the middle of the foot, noticing that what parts feel a little tender and what parts feel kind of good and like a massage. I always notice that the spot of my foot between my big toe and my heel bone, that kind of inside blade of the foot is always a little tight. And that's where you are rolling out what's called the flexor hallucis longus, which is the muscle that lets your big toe wiggle. And from here, you want to plant your heel on the ground and fan the ball of your foot over the tennis ball. So we're thinking about opening up all of those joints under the ball of the foot. And if you look down, you might even be able to see kind of the knuckles of the foot poking up. And then we place the ball at the back of the foot, so right in between, right where the heel pad begins and the middle of the foot ends, so right there. And then we're going to plant the toes on the floor and then wiggle the heel on the ball, getting that kind of insertion, that inserting point working out. And shake that out and take a second actually to stand. And now feel the difference between the 2 feet now that you've worked one foot and you have one foot that you haven't worked yet. And just see if you can feel my one foot that I've been working on feels almost like a duck foot. It feels flat, it feels grounded, it feels pretty good. My other foot feels a little tight and high off the ground. So we're going to even ourselves out. And we start with rolling out the middle of the foot. So if there's any latecomers, we have a few props today. As you can see, we have a tennis ball. And if you don't have a tennis ball, you can always just sit down and massage your foot with your thumbs. The tennis ball is just a little lazier. rolling out the middle of the foot. So the props for today are the tennis ball, a yoga mat, a chair, and a small towel. That's about this long, like a tea towel from your kitchen. Taking note while you're rolling out the foot where you have points that are a little tight. And we plant the heel down and we fan the front of the foot, or the underside of the metatarsals. And we move to the back of the foot, planting the ball and working the insertion point right at that heel. And of course, the more weight you put onto that foot that you're working, the deeper the massage, the less weight, the more superficial the massage. And have both feet planted on the ground now, away from the tennis ball. Alrighty. We're going to move to our chairs. Now put your tennis balls aside. We will be revisiting it in a second. I need you to move. Whoa, there you go. All right, so we're going to continue on with the feet, webbing the fingers through the toes. So all the fingers should fit between the toes. It's kind of like your own homemade yoga toes. That is a thing. Now let's find a little rotation one way and a little rotation the other. And maybe some kind of point, flexion, and extension, just some wiggles, pointing and flexing the toes. And scissoring them. Good. And the other side. Fitting your fingers into the webbing of your toes. And finding little rotations. And finding rotation in the other way. And little points and flexes. And scissoring the toes. Good. We're going to move into a couple stretches now. So we're going to cross one leg up and over. Be sure to have your foot flexed and sit up nice and tall on the edge of your chair. And dipping or tilting forward, we're just going to enter into those rotators. And we'll be here for a couple of deep breaths. And if the stretch starts deeply speaking to you, breathe deeper. This is your moment to find release. And let's take a big inhale in. And on the exhale, let's see if we can gently go maybe a millimeter deeper. Take an inhale in. And on the exhale, you release, you come up, and you let that leg go. And maybe give it a little bounce out. And we move to the other side, coming up and over, flexing the foot, sitting up nice and tall. I like to hold on to the shin. You can do whatever feels good for you. And hinging forward. Getting into the rotators, the back of the leg. And it is a-okay if both sides feel very different from each other. They are supposed to. You are human. You are asymmetrical. That's how it works. Maybe you slept on one side last night, or maybe you always sleep on one side, and that will also affect how your body feels. We all favor one side. And you take an inhale in. And on the exhale, you go a little bit deeper. You inhale in. And on the exhale, you release. Give that leg a little shake out. Good. We are going to do some hip flexor openers on the mat. So we're going to jump right to our calves now. So using the back of your chair, just going to press one leg back. And on this supporting or your front leg, you can always bend a little deeper, go a little shallower, and play with the depth of that stretch. And we take an inhale in. On the exhale, we go a little bit deeper. Inhale in. And on the exhale, you release. Other side, finding that calf. And breathing into it. See if you can relax the front of your ankle joint. I'm noticing that I'm carrying tension there, and I think that we can release it. And we take a big inhale in. And on the exhale, you go a little bit further. Inhale in. And on the exhale, you release. Good. We are going to do some more legs on the mat. Put the chair aside. We will be using it later on in class. Let's bring our towel and our tennis ball with us to the mat. Adjusting this. I have a feeling the cat is going to be obnoxious tonight. I apologize in advance. All right. So now that we've stretched out the calf, let's tenderize it a little bit. So let's place the tennis ball under the calf. And if you don't have a tennis ball, you can just work it with your thumbs and fingers. And you're just going to roll along the calf, being gentle, being slow, receiving the information. The calves have a tendency to be very tight. And release that side and just give it a little brush out. And the other side. Placing the tennis ball under the calf and rolling it out. And if you find a place that feels a little sticky, you can always pause there and just let the muscle relax around the ball. You can also play with pointing and flexing your foot. See if that gives you any good feedback. And release that, let that go. Give it a little brush out. So we are going to do a bunch of leg stretches now. The first one, we're going to target our inner thighs. So let's come to a nice wide seat. Let's sit up nice and tall. If you find yourself here with a hunched back and you can't quite get up straight, see if you can elevate your bottom with a book or a pillow, or bring your legs a little closer together and sit up a little taller. And so we have this nice wide stance, bringing the hands in front of us, and you can do palms down, you can do elbows down. If you're super duper flexible, maybe you can put your whole torso on the ground, like a little Gumby doll. And we'll be here for a moment. This is a stretch that's often forgotten. Or maybe I often forget it because it brings me a whole lot of pain. And let's take an inhale in. And on the exhale, let's go a tiny bit deeper. Let's inhale in. And on the exhale, go a little bit deeper and come up. Ooh. We want to stay in this position for a moment. We want to have one hand on a shin or a knee, whatever feels good on you. And we're just going to side stretch over. I know that this is a description that's used often, but it's so good, and that's the yawning of the side body open. And you take an inhale in. And on the exhale, you go a little bit deeper and come up. Other side. Yawning the other side open. And you can probably even see it up here. This side on my body has a slightly smaller range of motion than this side. This side I have quite a bit of motion. This side, I'm a little bit tighter. That also tells me, oh, maybe I need to start evening things out. And let's take a big inhale in. And on the exhale, you reach a little further. And you come up. Ooh, take a second to just let that settle in your body. We are going to come onto our backs now. Then stretch our hamstrings. We are going to use our towels. If you don't have a towel, don't worry. You can hold onto your leg with your hands. The towel just makes it a little bit easier. This class is more about stretching and relaxing than it is about working. So we're going to hook the mid part of our foot around the towel, and we're just going to roll back. If you need to bend the knee for a moment, bend the knee and adjust to where it feels good. And just take a second to start feeling that back of the leg open up. You can even play here today with opening the leg a little to the side. Or what feels really good sometimes is crossing that leg past your center line so you're getting into the outer side of the leg. Sometimes that feels really good as well. Let's all come back up to that nice center hamstring stretch. And we're going to do 3 series of resisting and releasing and bringing the leg closer to us, all right? So we inhale in. And on the exhale, you press into the towel and you resist. Feeling that hamstring firing up. And we're resisting. We resist. For 3, 2, 1, inhale. And on the exhale, release and bring that leg a little bit more forward. Inhale. And on the exhale, you resist. Resisting, resisting, resisting. And we resist for 3, 2, 1. Inhale. And on the exhale, release. And let that leg fall a little bit further. Inhaling in. And on the exhale, you resist. And you resist for 3, 2, 1. Inhale. And on the exhale, you release. And you bring that leg a little bit forward. Inhale. And on the exhale, remove the towel and let that leg float down. And before we do the other leg, let's just feel the difference. The leg that we were just stretching, it feels almost like 2 inches longer than the other leg. So let's even this out. Cradling the middle of that foot in your towel. And just coming up to that hamstring stretch, and we'll be here for about a minute just getting into the hamstrings before we start working the area. Remembering that you can cross that foot over your midline to feel a stretch on the outside of the leg, or you can bring the leg a little to the side to feel a little bit more on that inner leg. And let's bring that leg up to that straight position. We inhale in. And on the exhale, you resist. And you are resisting. You resist 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1. You inhale in. And on the exhale, you release and bring that leg a little bit more forward. Inhaling in. And on the exhale, you start resisting. Really pushing into that towel with that heel, almost like you're pressing away a ceiling that's caving in on you. And we resist for 3, 2, 1. Inhale. And on the exhale, you release and that leg falls a little bit more forward. Last time, inhale. And on the exhale, you resist. Four, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. And exhale, bringing that leg a little bit more forward. Inhaling in. And on the exhale, release the leg down. Good. We're going to come to the side, like a little sleepy position, planting one hand in the ground in front of us. We're going to press ourselves up, and we are going to go into the front of the hips. So if you want, you can have your chair in front of you, and we can use it as a little kind of bar for stability. And if you don't want that, that is a-okay. So we want to bring one foot in front. We are going to think about tucking the tailbone under, so like a little scared puppy. Making sure the hip bones are, here, let's see if I can show you. So these are my hip bones where my fingers are. I'm going to try keeping my hip bones even, so I'm not going to have them on a diagonal. So we're going to keep the hip bones even and tuck the tail. Now, if you're nice and tight like me, this in itself is a bit of a stretch through the front of my thigh. If you don't feel anything, keeping that tail actively tucking, start transferring your weight forward. Not bringing the body forward, keeping the body back and up as much as possible, and creating a nice long line from that knee all the way to the top of the head. If you need more of a stretch, bring an arm up and over. And we take a big inhale in. And on the exhale, we release and switch sides. We will do this 2 times on each side. Here we go. Remembering that that tail is actively tucking, transferring a little bit of that weight. I did not say this, but it is important that we have 2 perfect 90-degree angles. That will happen, but let's start in two nice 90-degree angles. Let's make sure those hips are nice and square so there's no diagonal business happening. You tuck that tail, and on the exhale, you enter the stretch. Playing, experimenting, deepening, figuring out what you need here. And if you need a little bit more, bringing that arm up and over. Then you take an inhale in. And on the exhale, you release. For this second round, we will only do 5 breaths per side. All right? So we come back to our first side, finding our position, tucking the tail, making sure those hips are even. We have a nice long line of energy between top of head and knee. You inhale in. And on the exhale, you enter the stretch. And switching sides. 5 deep breaths here, remembering that the tail is tucked, the hips are even, and you have that nice long line of energy between top of head and knee. Inhaling in, and exhale, enter the stretch. And coming out of it. Good. We're going to start working on the upper body now. So let's come to an all fours position. And we're going to start getting into that shoulder. So we want to bring one arm up and thread it through. Feeling the arm on the floor and adjusting your hips to what feels best for you. 5 deep breaths here. And coming out of it, other side, arm comes up, and you thread it through. And coming up. We're going to go into a neck stretch. You can either do this sitting, standing, sitting on your chair, whatever's most comfortable for you at this moment. We are going to create a little prayer position on our side. And our elbow that is sticking out, we are going to tilt towards that elbow. And rolling the head forward. And pick it back up. Other side. So 3 breaths, roll the head forward, pick it up. And roll it forward, pick it up, coming back to the first side, stretch over. And roll it forward, pick it back up, switching sides. Inhale, exhaling over. Roll it forward, pick it back up. Good. We are going to do a little bit more of a neck release. This one, I'm going to come a little closer. This one is a little bit funny, but similar to how the hamstring stretch works. When you tighten it and you resist it, you can then get more stretch out of it. So we're going to play with that. The key to this one is to be very, very gentle. So let's take 2 fingers and put them on our forehead. And let's press the forehead into the fingers for 3, 2, 1, and release. Putting the fingers on the back of the head now, pressing into the back of the head for 3, 2, 1, release. On the side of the head, 3, 2, 1, release. And the other side, 3, 2, 1, release. And one more, the front of the head. 3, 2, 1, release. Good. We're now going to pull kind of the skin and the fascia down from the collarbone. And we are going to create a diagonal stretch in the opposite direction of our head. Remembering that in this one, the jaw should be loose. And you're only here for 3 breaths. And come out of it, other side, pressing the skin and the fascia down. And coming into the opposite direction. Remembering that the jaw is released. And release that. Good. Wow, class is going by quickly. We are going to do a couple of twists. And then we'll do some postural work, and then we'll be done. Here we go. So, twisting. Let's bring one leg up. The other leg is straight. And let's bring that knee over. And let's open that other arm up to the side, playing with what feels good. The higher it goes, the more you get into the pec. The lower it goes, the more you can let that knee drop and get into the spine. So take a couple breaths here. And when you're ready, circle that arm up and over. And let's go to the other side. Bringing the other knee in, coming up and over, and circling that arm open, finding a twist on the other side. Remember, the higher the arm goes up, you can also play with bending the elbow and straightening it, getting into that pec. My goodness. The lower the arm goes, the more you can get into that spine. And circle that arm up and over. Just keeping the feet on the mat for a second, let those twists settle into the body. Good. And now for the last thing of this class, we're going to experiment with something. We're going to use a couple of our props. So we're going to use our chair. We are going to use our mat in a different way. And we're going to use our tennis ball. So let's put the chair where we will have enough space to put our lower legs on the chair and lay down. Let's roll up our mat. And lay it long. Our spine is going to go along our mat. And the tennis ball is going to go on our head. So let's all start by putting the shins on the chair. We adjust and we move the mat, there we go, along the spine. And the ball under the head. Might take a little bit of fidgeting about. And if you want, you can put your hands in a cactus because we're a little bit elevated. This will help drop and release those shoulders open. Feeling the spine nice and long along the mat. Or you can have your hands down, palms up. Now we're going to take our little traction knee. So hands on the top of the thighs. Inhale in. And on the exhale, press away. Feeling space in your vertebra. Inhale, release. Exhale, press away. Inhale, release. Exhale, press. Cradling the hands under the head. You can move your ball aside for a second. Same thing, tractioning the spine. Inhaling in. And exhale, pulling the head just slightly away from the body. Exhale, inhale, release. Exhale to pull. Inhale, release. Exhale to pull. Placing that ball back under the head. And doing whatever you need with the arms. If they're in the cactus, letting the chest fall open. Maybe they're down here. Maybe you want to cross and feel the upper back open up. And we'll take 5 big breaths here. And you can either stay here or you can gently open your eyes. Remove the tennis ball from under your head. Plant your feet on the ground and gently roll to one side. Placing one hand on the floor in front of you and pressing up. Great class. Sleep tight. Thank you so much for joining. I am receiving, or I would love to receive donations for this class. For the month of June, I will be putting all of those donations towards different organizations, and this week we will be putting money towards the NAACP. Good things for the body, good things for the community. Have a good night. Thank you so much for joining.